Well, Tim Tebow has chimed in on the Georgia Bulldogs winning the national championship, and I can't not talk about this. I know this crushed Gator Timmy to talk about this. This is what he said on ESPN earlier this week. Kirby Smart and Georgia are going to be contenders for the next 10 years. A sleeping giant has awakened. Well, there's more he says too. Look, they've been a contender for about 5 years now, so this is not new news. And I know some of the, sometimes former football players are not the greatest examples of people we should have talking about football. You can draw a line to who I'm talking about if you'd like, but here's further what Gator Timmy had to say. Georgia's always been a great university. It's a hotbed for talent, but they've never won the big game. Did y'all know that? In my lifetime, they've never been able to get over the hump. I think with the win over Alabama, they went from hope to belief. Wonder where he saw that. From maybe we can do it to maybe we can do it every year. I think the program Kirby Smart is building is something sustainable with all recruiting that they're bringing in, the way they love him and the way they love each other. I think they're building something special. You know, some people that are on TV because of their cultural significance, and Tim Tebow is one of those folks. He was he won the Heisman Trophy. Robert Griffin is not too different as it relates to Tim Tebow in terms of his analytical skills, or at least his ability to put sentences together while on TV talking about things. Georgia has been a national power since 2017. There have been times before that they were national power, 2012, etc. This is not a new take. I know that really hurts Tim to say that. Honestly, Florida should be in the same position as Georgia. It's a slightly more complicated situation in Florida. But the Gators, 100% be a national power that competes for national championships literally every single season. The difference is that for the last 10 years, Florida cannot seem to figure out which way is, forward and which way is backward. Georgia has always been on the precipice of doing it. To me, the way to look at this is this was eventually going to happen. What does it mean now that it has happened? I don't think that Georgia will, play in the playoff every single year. Alabama doesn't. But I do expect, and I think Georgia fans should expect, that they get that more often than not. What we're seeing now at Georgia, beside the talking points from folks who are not ideal at talking about this, what we're seeing now at Georgia is the culmination of years of deciding to win, and deciding to win in a way that they did not decide to win before Kirby got there. Universities have to choose to win. They have to completely jump in the deep end with both feet, no life vest, nothing. And then you have to execute when it's your time. Kirby's discussion with Reese Davis the day after the game has been Dean Legge doctrine for like years, which is that you have to have the better team. And when you do, you will win. It doesn't mean you always will win. It doesn't guarantee you that you will get to the playoff. But when you have the best team, you will more often than not win. Secondly, the way to do that is through recruiting, period. And again, comparing Georgia and Florida, the situation in Florida is trickier. They have it tougher, I think. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be in the same situation as Georgia. Georgia, Florida every year should basically be for a playoff spot, not even just to get to Atlanta. It should be the game that the two of them, of the 24 games that Georgia and Florida play, there should not be a combined 3 losses between those two teams. Okay, the game in Jacksonville, and then like LSU or Auburn. That's it. And what Georgia's so far past Florida right now, it's not even funny. And Florida can't get out of its own way. Dan Mullen was I thought, very good coach, perhaps the right coach for a long time. Could he win the national championship at Florida? I thought so, but probably not while Kirby was at Georgia, because it would the amount of chances that we get would be far fewer. For the Dogs, you just take a look around, and the main obstacle for Georgia in their way is going to be Alabama, more often than not. And you're still going to have Ohio State hanging around. I wonder if people would talk like this about Ohio State. So I'm failing to really talk about the one thing people are not separating. 1987 has nothing to do with 2020. The same way that 1980 really doesn't have anything to do with 2021. Georgia, for a long time, as an institution, the athletic department, the board of regents, etc., they didn't care in a way that they needed to. There was a lot of lip service. But this is not a surprise. I mean, some of us told y'all this was coming, okay? And people just didn't want to believe because they never seen it before. That is the most idiotic way to look at life. And I very rarely talk about politics, and I've never talked about religion, but people have faith. Most of the Georgia faithful have faith in something other than the Dogs. And they believe in that, which is not something you can grasp with hands. But they couldn't believe that Georgia would win the national championship. And that's the part to me that is, as a person who does believe, that is very frustrating, because people embrace negativity in a way that they just can't. It's easy to embrace them negativity. I think Dabo Swinney is an idiot, but he does not embrace negativity. And the reason why Clemson had the success they did was because of his optimism and because of his push forwardness, which is not a word, that he drove them as an institution towards the promised land, got 2 players they had to get, and that's what it was. The difference between Dabo and Kirby is that Kirby understands that the future is not always like the past. I'm not certain Dabo Swinney understands that right now. And I think he needs to be given all due credit for his time at Clemson, particularly from 2015 on. But, Georgia's a sleeping giant that's awoken. I mean, Georgia just got their shit together. And they're going to be powerful for a long time. They've been powerful for a long time. They just didn't win the one game you needed to win. And, when you look at the landscape of everybody, that they were right there the whole time, sort of should have indicated to people that they were going to win. That, Phil Mickelson consistently kept winning, but didn't win a major or the Masters, whichever you want to call it, should have shown people, yeah, this guy's going to do it, It's just win. And then what happens after he wins it, The Boston Red Sox were consistently there all the time. They just figured out how to lose. And so people called them losers. No. They're trying to figure out how to do it. We whipped around the moon multiple times as a country. We sent missions to the moon. People passed away. And when we finally landed on the moon, something, I guess, changed. I wasn't alive. But the negativity is a poison pill. It is something that losers do. And there's no excuse for these programs, and I'll probably leave a couple off. Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Florida, Texas, SC, Ohio State, Michigan, um, I guess Oklahoma. That group should be winning national championships. That should never be a surprise, you know. And this is about determination and deciding what you want to do and what you want to be. It starts with presidential leadership, and then you have to get buy-in from your supporters. That is how you have to hire a head coach that understands your institution and takes it from there. I don't know if Billy Napier is the right guy at Florida. I don't know if Dabo is going to understand how to win in 2024 the way he understood how to win in 2016. There are so many different variables, but this isn't just a simple, you know, couple sentences about, this, that, and the other. Um, they've never won the big game is like the least. Well, thanks for your insight. I was not aware of that. We hadn't heard that for the last 41 years, right? I mean, everyone knows that. This isn't that hard. I mean, I clearly it is, but you know, there's reasons why y'all and you hate Paul Feinbaum, which is whatever, but Paul can string sentences together. Paul is coherent. Paul makes analytical, you know, sometimes former football players are not the best example of who we should be, listening to as it relates to why teams win as programs and why they don't. Look, not bragging because there's nothing to brag about. I was on the board of trustees for 10 years almost at the place where I played. You got to choose to win. It is a decision. I am going to be great. That's step one. And then you got to take it from there. And some places are positioned in a way that they can win, and if they choose to win, doesn't make it easy. And some places it's much, much harder. Georgia's in a position where they're blessed. They're not like everybody else. This state is not like everybody else with the population, the passion, the people. The state of Georgia's really number one asset are the people here. It is a crazy mixture of all sorts of types of people. And when Quavo and Brian Kemp can pull for the same thing, that that's all you should be able to. I mean, that tells you how big a deal that this state is. That folks who are not in any way the same way at all can hug. You should have seen the hugs. You should have seen the hugs and the cigar smoke and the debauchery on the field after that win. And and you've got guys like Zamir and James and Stetson and it's just a group that if you threw them together, it'd be hard. It'd be like if you just picked everybody out when they were high school sophomores and be like, this guy is gonna win a national championship with this guy, and he's gonna share time. It's a bizarre story, and you just never know where you're gonna end up. I don't think this is gonna be the last time Georgia wins the national championship. I don't think they're gonna win it next year, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility necessarily either. But I'm sorry I get annoyed with these things. I was pretty annoyed when Urban Meyer picked Notre Dame to beat Alabama in the national championship just because he's a Notre Dame. He's got a Notre Dame pom pom in his back pocket, and I know it does. I mean, I'm not joking when I say it. I know it hurts Tim Tebow to see Georgia win the national championship because I was right there when he was crying when he lost to Georgia in 2007. 2007. It's he's emotionally connected to Florida. But we should probably, have a banner at the bottom saying that ahead of time. He's connected in a way to the Gators. David Pollock loves Georgia. You can see that. But David leaves his pom-pom on the sideline. Ben Watson leaves his pom-pom on the sideline. So Robert Griffin, Tim Tebow, they're not as good at that in terms of leaving things on the side. But hey, listen, they're hell of players, man, and certainly very good people. But as analysts, ESPN's got to do a little bit better on that front. But anyway, I did want to give my thoughts on that. We're going to have a lot more videos. Make sure that you are picking the book down. I didn't even talk about the book. Things are flying off the shelves. Y'all need to get them before they're gone now. Go pick up the book right now. Thanks.